Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LIUniverse. I'm Dr. Charles Liu, your host, and please, as always, I ask you, thank you in advance. Call me Chuck. We have a wonderful episode today, and it is my great pleasure, as always, to introduce our co-host, Allen Liu. Hey, Allen, how's it going?
Hey, it's going okay.
Okay. Experience any atmospheric effects recently?
I was just down in Florida recently, and because it's so
Ooh.
flat, the clouds you
Uh-huh.
can see really far out to the horizon. So you got some really cool overlaps of like the cirrus and the stratus and the cumulus.
Oh,
Whoa. Well, clouds are extra cool. And in fact, that will relate to today's cosmically cool, joyful thing of the day.
And you
But
got the order
first,
wrong again, but
oh man, I'm
we'll
sorry.
fix it.
But we'll fix it. Okay. But I want to introduce our guest, very special, all the way from Australia, Celene Shimmen. Hello, Celene.
hello. Thank you very much for having me here.
Oh, it is a great pleasure. You have so much to teach us and to tell us. Your story is awesome, and we will get right to it in just a few minutes. And we will start right now with today's joyfully cool cosmic thing
Got
of
it
the
right
day.
this time. There you go.
All right. How many of you, raise your hands, if you've heard of tryptophan?
Well, I heard of it.
Yes, tryptophan. It is an amino acid, and it shows up in turkey meat.
That is the one
Oh.
place I've heard of it. I've heard it is what makes it so that when you eat turkey, you get tired specifically.
That's right.
Really?
There is a claim, yes, there is a claim that tryptophan is the thing that makes you feel sleepy after eating Thanksgiving turkey dinner. But actually, that's been largely debunked.
It's just
Mostly you
being
just
full.
feel sleepy because you've been full and you've been sitting around for a long, long time
Yeah.
and hanging out, and that's why you feel tired. But there was a claim, a scientific measurement not too long ago that
Mhm.
suggested that there was tryptophan in an interstellar cloud
Really?
near a new star forming area. Yeah.
That's cool.
And people are like, wow, tryptophan.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we've got sleepy turkeys in interstellar space, right?
Yeah, well, because I know that some of the amino acids, like I think glycine's the simplest one, like are easier to
That's
form
right.
than others. I don't know how hard tryptophan is compared to the others.
Right. And so the idea was, wow, we have tryptophan out there. That's awesome. And if you have something like a complex amino acid in interstellar space, then that could mean that like the development of life is actually quite common as opposed to unique to Earth. So we're all very excited about this astrobiology studies. But the cosmically cool thing of the day is, in fact, that discovery is now in question.
Hmm.
See, I don't want always just to say, everybody, that cosmically cool things are detections.
Okay.
Sometimes cosmically cool things are refutations
Interesting.
or things that are discoveries. And we scientists are always touting like our discoveries. But we have to understand that science works just as much with, well, not sure if that's true, guys, kind
Yeah.
of thing as before. So, a new study done by scientists with the JWST out in space and also other kinds of models here on Earth trying to figure out exactly what tryptophan would look like if viewed by a telescope in space shows now that tryptophan detection may have been accidental and not quite right.
Hmm.
We often use the term spurious, but in ordinary language, spurious suggests, fake or unreal or something like that.
Yeah.
But this appears to be a real attempt to find something, and it looks like, well, we got to keep looking because tryptophan doesn't seem to be actually detected based on the detection that was reported.
Do they think that it's like a different, similar looking molecule or something that's just has a similar spectrum?
The current suggestion is that maybe it could be that, but more likely it was some sort of instrumental artifact taken
Hmm.
from the previous observations using the Spitzer Space Telescope
Okay.
that were interpreted by accident as something from interstellar
Okay.
space.
Because
It's not
yeah,
100% certain.
Spitzer was a cool telescope. It was like the best infrared space telescope before JWST, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we loved Spitzer. Spitzer is great. It had a warm mission after its regular mission. And now JWST is sort of the successor to the Spitzer Space Telescope. A
Yeah.
lot of people think that also it's a successor to the Hubble Space Telescope, but really, JWST is sensitive to the wavelengths that Spitzer is involved with.
Wow.
Nice.
And let me just say that, I don't know, Celene, in your opinion, any spacecraft is cool because you're about to head into space someday, right?
That is the goal. That's right. They're all very cool.
Yes. Tell us about that journey. Tell us about where and how you have reached the point now where we are just waiting for you to go into space.
Thank you for that. Okay, well, it's been absolutely very exciting journey. So initially, I started my studies in engineering, and that's how I became involved with the Melbourne Space Program here in Australia, where I got the opportunity to help develop a satellite. And then from there, I got into humanoid robots, and that's where I started to see the application to humans. And I switched over my studies to physiotherapy, which is what I'm currently completing at the moment. And I've had absolutely incredible opportunities in the space industry as a physiotherapy student to implement research and look at, coordination testing. And actually recently I designed and implemented the low extremity motor coordination test in microgravity for
Ooh.
AstroAccess. So that was absolutely amazing. This is my first time with microgravity, getting to experience doing research for to test it in weightlessness was just absolutely phenomenal. And now I've been
Wow.
accepted into the scientist-astronaut candidate program, which is where I'm training
Yes.
for suborbital missions with the International Institute of Astronautical Sciences, which is really exciting.
That is awesome.
It is exciting.
So you've been working behind the scenes sort of on this space thing, and now you're getting this opportunity to where you're currently training to be sent up in a suborbital space flight.
That's exactly right. And actually, in 2023, I began the actual training. So we were doing various things such as hypoxia training. We were doing spacesuit simulation training, aerobatic training, and just assessing how we respond to different G forces. And now I have the
Awesome.
absolutely incredible opportunity to go on a weightless flight, on a parabolic flight to test, to assess if there's any balance deficits after acute exposure to weightlessness. If we can test
Okay.
and find this information, I think it's going to open up a whole new world of being able to then evaluate countermeasures for balance. And and I think this is absolutely phenomenal. I'm really, really excited.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds really cool.
I think so too. It's amazing. So, Celene, tell us, what is a parabolic flight?
Absolutely. So, a parabolic flight is a type of flight maneuver used to create short periods of microgravity or weightlessness. So, you get about 20 to 30 seconds. And this is achieved by having the aircraft fly in a series of parabolic trajectories. So, every time it reaches the very top, that's when you experience that weightlessness feeling for those couple seconds, which is a fantastic environment for testing and preparing for any space missions.
Okay, so the parabolic flight is like the kind of flight that earns airplanes nicknames like the Vomit Comet.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Okay, because when you're in zero or microgravity, you really feel like throwing up. Is that true? Is that absolutely what happens to you?
I will let you know if that does happen to me. This is actually my first parabolic flight where I will actually be feeling that weightlessness myself. But I do know that it is something that most flyers do feel nauseous and have that motion
Yeah,
sickness,
fair.
because all your senses are receiving input that is incorrect. So it's causing you to feel nauseous, and that's sort of where that comes from. It does become more
No.
technical than that, but in a nutshell, that's what happens, and you tend to be feeling
Fair.
sick.
Well, how many parabolas are you thinking of experiencing or planning to experience in your training or in the science research that you're doing?
Absolutely. So we're looking at 16 parabolas for this
Whoa!
research.
All
Very
right.
exciting.
16 opportunities to hurl in zero gravity. I love that.
Or do somersaults. Either
Oh,
way.
I'm so excited.
Now, you had mentioned a whole bunch of organizations that you had been involved with, like the Melbourne Space Agency and AstroAccess. Um, could you just tell us, like, what is AstroAccess and why it's so cool? Not just Astro, but Access.
Oh, absolutely. So AstroAccess is absolutely an incredible organization. What we're wanting to do is open up the opportunity for anyone who has disabilities, and we're trying to find solutions to just to be able to improve the way that aircrafts are set up. And we're trying to see, okay, how do we make this more inclusive so that so space is open for everyone and we can work towards space
Wow.
together. And that is something that's really, really exciting. And that is, yeah, I'm absolutely grateful and very thankful to be a part of this organization. It's incredible the
Yeah.
work that
Wow.
everyone in the team does, and we're all very passionate. So yeah, we're very excited.
Nice.
Mhm. Well, that's so cool, especially since what we might think of as a disability here on Earth might not be a disability in space at all,
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
These are some things that I'm fascinated with, and of course, just as all the science that has been done to make sure that ordinary, say, able individuals are able to be in space. Anytime we do anything in space, we wind up having spin-offs or benefits here on Earth. So whatever you do to make whatever you do to make space accessible
Yes.
is good for people here on Earth too,
That
which I think is just
Oh,
terrific.
absolutely. It's about finding ways to include everyone, and that is how we find solutions. And that's
Yeah.
how
Mhm.
we can continue moving forward. And it's just very exciting that we're looking at ways to improve the current stages that we have at the moment. So yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of that.
Mm. Oh, that's wonderful. I will immediately talk about a Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode
Yeah.
from season one. It's called
Okay.
Melora. Okay. The fictional story is that there's a character, a very uh, well respected pioneer of space travel person from a planet with very little gravity.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And so this person in gravity situations is unable to move without substantial mechanical robotic assistance. But in space, in under weightless conditions, she is completely able, like way more able to use the environment and be successful in it than those of us who were born or grew up in
Hmm.
a gravity full condition. And I just thought that was a neat way to make that point. And there was a lot of interesting ideas. Of course, this is decades ago now.
Yeah.
So
I love
our
that.
understanding of access and ability and so forth was a little bit different. So I can think of, at least myself, really neat ways that modern times, now that we have the robotic technology and so forth that you're working on, that folks
Mhm.
can be really able out in space in ways that they may not be able to be here on Earth, right?
That's beautiful, and I couldn't agree more with
Anyway,
that.
Star Trek, I know, has a lot of characters with disabilities, and they really have for a while. Like I know in the original series, there was various guest appearances or characters that would be somewhat recurring. Like
hmm
was it Captain Pike who was
yes,
yeah Captain Pike who was in the
absolutely,
wheelchair with the little blinking light that was
yeah,
reading his
right,
brainwaves. There was another
right.
character who used a garment to be able to see. And then
Geordie LaForge,
Joy
yeah,
LaForge, yeah, but before Joy LaForge in the original series, there was a episode where there was a guest character who did that, and then Jordy had
hmm
the visor coming on in the
that's
next
right,
iteration.
that's right. Yeah, and so I think that's great. It shows us sort of um, lots of different people who can contribute in different ways. But that's in the fiction stuff. But I don't know, Celine, are you a Star Trek person? Or are you really more of a Star Wars person? Hmm?
I'm definitely more of a Star Wars person.
That's fair.
Aha!
I
Star
love
Wars has its
Okay,
Star
share
well,
of,
Wars.
of prosthetics and things too.
that's true.
Luke's
Luke
got the hand.
Skywalker,
Yes.
Anakin Skywalker, they both had these prosthetic hands. That's right. And in fact, Anakin, who became Darth Vader, as you know, is like like Mr. Prosthetic, like the entire body was prosthetic, right?
Very good points.
Well, okay. We'll get back to the Star Wars, Star Trek thing later. But for now,
Looking forward to
is
it.
there a question? Thank you. Is there a question, Alan, that our audience has for Celene?
Yeah, sure. So this is a question that maybe we can answer in the context of the work you're doing, Celine.
Okay.
This is a question from Anne, who is asking, what are some psychological or physical traits that make for a good astronaut?
Okay,
Mm.
that's a really good question there, Anne. And what I can say from just my own experience is that certainly training to maintain strength, endurance, and cardiovascular fitness is very important, and especially as we're going towards longer term missions on the moon, you need that strength,
Yeah.
you need that physical training to be able to do those missions safely and being able to stay there on the moon a bit longer than what we've had in the past. So I would certainly say physical fitness is really important. The other thing I would like to add as well is just also having coordination is really important, and working on balance
Hmm.
here on Earth can certainly help for any space missions. It will be of great help. So those are sort of the main two things
Wow.
I'd say.
Yeah. So how are
Well,
you helping? I heard you were talking earlier about ways that you're sort of testing people's balance and sort of being able to help around with that. How are you doing that basically?
Absolutely. So with so I'm the principal investigator for this experiment itself, and what we're going to be doing is it's called the Rumberg test. This is actually used with NASA astronauts when they come. They get tested pre-flight and post-flight. So, but it hasn't been tested in a parabolic flight. So
Okay.
this is something that's really exciting because this is the first time that this is going to be tested in such an environment, a space analog environment. And if there is, then if we can see any balance deficits in a parabolic flight, then we can utilize a parabolic flight to then test countermeasures and look at interventions that can help improve that balance. And it just opens a whole new world of balance options, and it's certainly really exciting.
a whole new
That's
world. Uh-oh,
right.
we're wandering into Disney again
That,
Hey,
along with Star
I
Wars.
love
Uh-oh, we
Disney.
got to be a little careful about that.
I
You
love.
do, huh?
I'm
Dude.
a fan as well. Yeah.
But what about this is a little bit counterintuitive for me because I assumed that because the moon has less surface gravity than Earth, we would need to be less physically fit to be successful on the moon. Why would we need to be more physically fit, like stronger and have more endurance when in fact we have to work not nearly as hard in order to counteract the moon's gravity compared to the Earth's gravity?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the factors that we need to take in is the actual spacesuit itself. That
Mm.
limits a lot of mobility. Actual Apollo astronauts did. Uh, I was listening to some of the manuscript of when they were doing the missions, and one of the things that they found was that it was really hard. They felt that when they were trying to pull things, it was like they were doing a one max rep. Just being able
Oh
to,
wow.
yeah, and it contributes a lot to the spacesuit as well. There's a lot of factors that come into play with that. But you certainly, you're trying to fight that pressure inside the suit. Your mobility is very limited because the suit is quite constrictive as well. Yeah,
Mm.
so you're looking at a lot
Mm-hmm.
of different factors that and that's why you need to make sure that you're strong enough so that when you're in space you don't fatigue. um,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I see.
And I know that even though the gravity is lower, right, the inertia of everything is going to be the same.
It's 1/6 of Earth's gravity, lunar
Right,
gravity.
yeah, so it's one
Right.
sixth Earth's gravity. So you're lifting upwards less, but when you're starting and stopping something moving, it's still the
Oh, it's the
same
same
mass. So you still
amount.
have to do the same force forward and back, even if you're doing less up and down.
That's right.
Wow, I can understand that. There is a truism when using big telescopes, for example.
Hmm.
They are very well balanced uh, in order to work properly, such that if you have a big telescope that's several feet wide and many feet long,
Hmm.
you could use one arm to start it moving, but then to stop it moving. requires a great deal of effort because once you have it moving, you've got to deal with the inertia.
Yeah,
Yes.
the
Right.
force times the distance there.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
that would be
Amazing.
challenging.
Yeah. So how about the psychological aspect, Selena? Do you have to train for that? You have to be careful about how to be successful as an astronaut with mental strength or particular characteristics?
Absolutely. Mental resilience is really, really important. You know, astronauts have to cope with isolation, confined spaces, and potentially really high stressful situations. You know, you are looking at life and death uh, at times when you are
Yeah,
on the moon. So, being able to maintain that focus and being able to perform effectively under pressure is really critical. So for that, it is important that you do train to be in a pressurized environment and learn how to react to that. I would also say um, being able to problem solve. So problem solving skills would be another sort of main component that is really important. You need to work as a team and solve those
yeah,
problems critically together. And that can be challenging,
Hmm.
especially if you're looking at being on the moon. You have very limited resources, and you're in a very
yeah.
challenging you're in very challenging conditions as well. So yeah, I'd probably
Right.
say, yeah, looking at training in improving these aspects, it certainly would help. And not just for space,
I see.
just life as well.
Yeah, fair.
It'd be nice, yes. We do all deal with a lot of different life type things. That's
That's
true.
exactly right.
So, your life path to this point, did in fact pass through the United States, right, and North America, and before you got down to Australia and everything like that. What's cool about having traveled as far as you've gone? I mean, what, like, tell us the whole, find something cool that's really neat about your journey that we can all kind of like admire and be happy about and be excited about.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say I'm really thankful for all the opportunities I've had to be able to come down to Australia. I'm originally from Colorado. I'm from a
Ah,
small country town in Colorado, and we're looking at about 1,000 residents. So it's quite, everyone knows
wow,
everyone. Very small. I grew up in a trailer mobile area, and it's just,
wow.
yeah. And I think
Single
one,
wide or double wide trailer?
oh, began with single first, and then we upgraded to a double. So it was, yeah, it was
Oh,
really exciting when we upgraded to the double. I got more space.
Nice.
definitely.
But I think one of the amazing things is that anything is possible with hard work and um, believing that you can do things, that you can achieve your goals. And when you set your mind to that, you start to have a lot of support. I've been very, very lucky that throughout my journey I've had a lot of support from a lot of people, and that's something that I attribute any success that I received in my life to that, because I've had people behind me that are helping me get to where I am now. And I have no doubt that that journey will continue as I continue to pursue suborbital flights.
Oh, Celine, you're so humble. Uh, Working hard and yet crediting other people for stuff that you did. But that's very sweet of you. But
It's
we
all
all
true.
know that you're doing all the hard work. Yeah, yeah. True or not, you're doing all the hard work. So don't sell yourself short. It's really important. Um,
Appreciate that.
and so from Colorado, you went straight to Australia. That was I mean, to Melbourne to the space program? Is that how that went?
No, no. So my journey has actually been, it hasn't been a linear path. I ended up, so I got a scholarship to go down to Arizona. So I went to university at the time in Arizona to study
Okay.
Uh huh.
business, and that's
Oh.
where I got the incredible opportunity to be a part of the Disney College program down in Florida. So then I relocated.
Oh, that explains the whole Disney
That's
thing.
right.
Okay. Now,
I'm
everybody,
obsessed.
yes, to our audience, I want you to know, we do not have any financial connection with Disney. There is no endorsement or affiliation or anything like that. So, any
Or
conversation
Star
that we're
Trek for
having
that
about
matter.
Disney, or Star
That's right.
Trek or Star Wars or Paramount or anything like is purely because we enjoy it personally. Okay, it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with commercial things. So everyone be comforted that that is the case. But now that we've got that out of the way, tell us about that Disney program. Oh my gosh, I'm
Yes.
familiar with
Oh,
the Disney College program, but like you said, it's not usually for engineers and scientists and things like that. It's usually for people who are interested in business or hospitality, right?
that's
And
exactly
that's
right.
where you were at that time.
That's exactly right, and
Oh.
it was absolutely phenomenal getting the training with Disney, and I was actually working in hospitality. I was part of the quick
Hmm.
service in Hollywood studios, so that was my home. Um,
Oh,
and
Nice.
that's
that's where
great.
I actually met my husband, and he's Australian. So that's why I've come
Oh,
down to Australia, and now I'm an Australian citizen. So
I see. Wow. So was your husband also involved with the Disney College program at the time?
yes, yes, he was an international student with the Disney College program. So we both met
Wow.
on the bus, and yeah, the rest is history.
Nice.
Oh, that's so sweet. What, was he also in the Hollywood studios and doing the quick service stuff?
No,
Or was that just coincidental?
that was coincidental. He was in Magic Kingdom.
Nice. So once you
It's
got to
amazing.
Australia, how did you end up getting involved in all this space stuff? This was really exciting.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually had finished watching First Man, and
Oh,
Oh, the
that was
story of
very.
Neil Armstrong.
Yes, yes, that was absolutely, just watching that story and watching the movie for me was very, very motivating.
hmm
Extremely, I was just really excited, and and that's when I started to think, can I be a part of the space industry? Do I? Is there
yeah,
a chance that I can be a part of that? And I mentioned this to Adam, my husband, and he was like, "Of course you can be." And that's all I needed. I started contacting uh, everyone around Australia. What's the space industry like here in Australia? And that's how things got started, and that's how I ended up getting accepted into the Melbourne Space Program, which
that's
was
really
Wow.
cool.
absolutely, it was one of the most incredible days of my life.
That's
Getting
awesome.
that call that I've been accepted. I can come and join it. We're going to be working on a nano satellite together, and that was for me. I just couldn't believe it. It was like I was at Walt Disney again.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, was your interest in physiotherapy? We, by the way, for our audience who is not familiar with Australian terms, physiotherapy there is physical therapy here in the United States. Was the connection with the space program that you had and have to do specifically with the physical therapy stuff, with the physiotherapy, or did that come later?
Yes. So no. With the Melbourne Space Program, there are several projects within
hmm
the program, and one of the projects was somebody was building a humanoid robot, and
Okay.
Mhm.
I got involved with that as well. I wanted to really develop my engineering skills, and I was
Wow.
responsible for helping the robot take its first step, and that was
Oh,
really
nice.
Wow.
that was absolutely amazing.
Wow.
My husband was also studying physiotherapy, so I started having a lot of conversations with him, with myself trying to help this robot walk for the first time, and he's studying physiotherapy, helping people walk. And it's really impactful the work that you do as a physical therapist. People
Yeah.
that may have lost their ability to walk, we help them. Um, we help them through that process, and that's something that's very impactful. And I sort of fell in love with that, and I wanted to. That's where I decided to make the change from engineering to physical therapy, which has been
Wow.
an incredible decision for myself. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it, and I decided, well, I want to do physical therapy and be involved in space. And
Yeah.
I found so many incredible opportunities, and there's a lot to learn with a human body. So it's
Oh,
great
yes,
opportunity.
absolutely. Wow.
That
Is there another question, Alan, that we can have Celene answer?
Yeah, we've got another question. This one does not have a name associated with it. This is an anonymous question, so it's mysterious.
Ah.
Okay.
Um,
Ooh.
this question is what part of the human body is most vulnerable in space?
Absolutely. I would say to this anonymous person that it would be your bones. Your bones and
Mm,
muscles
yeah.
would
Bones.
be most vulnerable, just because with extended exposure to microgravity, it leads to muscle
Yeah.
atrophy, which what that means is the loss of muscle mass and bone density
Hmm.
loss. And that occurs because you're not actually working your muscles and bones, and that's what you see in the International Space Station. Astronauts have to spend 2 hours minimum a day just trying to
Yeah.
do exercise, and they're still um, experiencing muscle atrophy and bone density loss. So
Wow.
I would certainly say muscles and bones are the most vulnerable in this
Yeah.
condition.
I remember reading something recently where someone had published some, maybe it was a preprint, it might not have even been a final paper, about talking about kidneys as being a very vulnerable part of your space
Oh,
Oh,
physiology as well, potentially because of related to the bones and muscles. It's like all that calcium from your bones is coming out through them.
that's really interesting. I'd
oh.
like to read that.
Yeah, I can see if I can find that, put it in the show notes or something like that.
That
Yeah,
would be
that
great.
would be very interesting, Alan. But the bones sounds kind of frightening. I know that that has been talked about over the years,
Mhm.
but I would have figured that by now we have the therapies to solve that problem. But I guess it's still a big issue, even with exercise. How quickly does bone and muscle like fade away into weakness when you're out in space?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not entirely sure of that, but what we
Hmm.
do know is that when astronauts spend even just 14 days in space and they come back, they tend to be very, very weak. So um, it would
Wow.
be, yeah, very, very quickly. It's I believe I'm not exactly sure, but I do believe they've done studies with bed rest studies here on Earth,
Mm.
and they experience muscle weakness very, very quickly, just even being just 5 days in the hospital. So in
Wow.
microgravity, that would be I'd imagine the rate would increase even more.
Just a few days, just a few weeks.
That's
Wow.
exactly right.
That's okay. I'm pretty amazed that that's the case. So really the fact that wonderful astronauts who spend months literally in space and come back and can still walk is pretty miraculous that they've been able to really protect themselves from this horrible rapid uh, disintegration. Wow.
Well, that's
I'm
exactly
amazed.
right, and certainly we're
Mhm.
looking at finding interventions to help with that and improve that, and it's improved throughout history. There's no doubt on that, and
Yeah.
certainly we'll continue to prove and find solutions so that hopefully they
Wow.
don't in the future maybe they won't have to spend 2 hours a day and still lose bone density or muscle atrophy.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm interested, just because we were talking about the AstroAccess stuff you had before, is the idea that like when we go to space and try and solve these body problems, these human physiology problems up in space, that we can apply those solutions to people here on Earth in addition to the astronauts themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I think we've seen a lot of great applications come from space and solutions that they've applied with astronauts, and they utilize that here on Earth. And I think that's why it's really, really important to continue advancing space medicine because it
Hmm.
does provide a lot of solutions to people here on Earth in the way that we operate, in the way that we find solutions. And it,
Right.
yeah, something that's really exciting.
Yeah, because I really do like space medicine just for making sure we can get astronauts places, but I also like medicine on Earth too.
Yeah.
They're
It
both
would
really
be
good
nice.
things
Exactly.
there.
The more good medicine there is, the better. I think that no matter where we are. But now, do you want to live out space, Celine? Do you want to be that kind of astro person, or would you rather be on the moon and be there for like a deployment? What's your preference?
I would love, I would love to go to the moon. My
Yeah,
my name actually means the moon, Celene.
Oh yeah.
Celine.
So,
That's right.
uh, so that's
Wow.
I feel I feel quite connected to the moon on a
Yeah,
personal level, but no,
that's
certainly
awesome.
in terms of opportunities, I would certainly say yes to being deployed to the moon if I ever were to get that chance. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think there's so much to learn and so many
Yeah.
opportunities with that, and I'd love to be a part of that.
Do you have any insight as to what the status is of our returning to the moon with crews and humans and things like that? Anything that you're allowed to tell us that would not violate any secret production plans that we don't know? No?
Well, no, no. I mean, I suppose with just the Artemis program itself,
Yeah.
we're looking at returning 4 humans back to the moon, which is really really exciting. And we're looking at a
Wow.
journey
Yeah,
at of about 30 days, with 7 days.
that's much longer than Apollo was.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because we want to establish a longer term residency on the moon, and we actually
The
want to
same way we've done in low Earth orbit.
exactly. And
Okay.
that's something that so we're looking about approximately 30 days, 7 days of doing extravehicular activities on the lunar surface, which would consist about 8 hours of work the astronauts would have to do every day for those 7 days
Wow.
minimum, and then return back to Earth.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's really really exciting.
Oh,
It
it
is
is
exciting. I'm
exciting. It
excited
sounds
about it.
great. And we will wait with bated breath to hear your name amongst the people who will be heading up there and doing stuff for us.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you.
No, no, it'll be wonderful. That's so great.
Yeah, I know they've announced the Artemis 2 crew, the one that's going to go around the moon.
Yes.
But that's
Oh, it
yeah,
has been announced or has not
it
yet been
has.
announced?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
4 of
okay.
them have been announced, but they're not
Ooh.
landing. They're just going
Oh,
around.
okay.
They're
All right.
following the
So Celine's
Apollo
not.
mission trajectory, I believe.
Yeah, so they got the 4 crew there. They're going to go around the moon the way Apollo 8 did and Apollo 10 too. So they're going to not land, but they're going to come back to Earth after going to lunar orbit or to the
Fan-
space around the moon there.
Awesome. So Celine, you're not one of those 4, right?
No. I can confirm no.
Darn.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the next one. We'll keep watching, but it'll
Yeah.
be very exciting to follow things. It has been such a pleasure. Celine, thank you so much for coming on the show with us. This has been a great conversation. And if we want to follow what you're doing, is there something on social media or some way that we can see what's going on and follow the research you're doing as well as your training as you head into space?
Absolutely. I do have all my social media, so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. So it's space PT and then my name, Celene. And for Facebook
Okay.
and LinkedIn, it's Celene Shimmen. If anyone wants to reach out, I'd love to have a chat, and I'd
Oh,
love to
definitely.
discuss anything. Love space and
Well,
I love physio.
yeah. Well, you are such an ambassador for both, and we truly appreciate that. Thank you. Come back when we are getting even more information about what you're doing. Okay, Celine? Please come back.
Thank you so much. And
Yes.
I really want to say thank you for everything. I'm really excited. I absolutely love being a part of this, and thank you for letting me share my story and the things that I
Oh,
love to do.
Yeah.
still plenty left to say. Still plenty left to say, including we didn't even talk about like your musical ability. What if you became like Dr. Cady Coleman, yet
She's
another
an inspiration.
astronaut playing the flute in space? How about that?
Oh,
Huh?
that would
That
be
would be cool.
amazing. I love playing my
Nice.
flute.
Oh, we look forward to hearing and seeing that. That'll be great. Well, heck, if we could talk forever, we could. We would if we could, but we cannot. Alan, thank you as always for your wonderful co hosting. We appreciate it and could not do this show without you.
You are
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
I'm glad to be here.
All right. Celene Shimmen, our guest today, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I do want to say, if it's okay with you as well, I want to say thank you to the incredible sponsors that have helped me with going to the Parabolic flight: MK Pro Engineering, Akula Tech, Federation University, and Fleet Space Technologies. They've been financially helping sponsoring this training, and I wouldn't be here without them.
Wonderful. Thank you for mentioning them. That's really good that people should know that there are people who are willing to help people who going into space.
That's right.
Yay! I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of you who are out there in the audience with us. Thank you for joining us for this episode. If you liked what you've seen and heard, please support us on Patreon. And as always, thank you for being a part of the LIUniverse.